There are two individual robbers who face a dilemma. The two robbers have to repay their debt by 2:30 p.m. The robbers are supposed to meet at a rendezvous point to rob a bank at 1:30 p.m. Both robbers are required to meet for the bank heist. However, on the way to the rendezvous point, each robber is tempted to rob a jewelry store, which only requires one robber to complete, and they will be able to pay off their debt, but it will be too late to meet for the bank heist. The worst possible outcome is where a robber is left waiting and resulting in unsuccessful bank heist and is then left empty-handed. This is a static game of complete information as each robber has to make a decision simultaneously to either meet for the bank heist or rob the jewelry store. Each robber would prefer the money from the bank heist over the jewelry store. This table represents all four possible outcomes derived from the choices each individual robber faces on the way to the rendezvous point. The best possible outcome bank is when robber 1 and 2 decide to meet and complete the bank heist successfully with the highest payoff of 3-3. The second best outcome, jewelry store, is when both robbers rob jewelry stores receiving a payoff of 1-1. And the two worst possible outcomes, jewelry store, bank, are when one robber chooses the bank heist, but the other robber chooses the store. Therefore, the robber choosing the bank heist gets a payoff of 0 and the other robber yields a payoff of 1. Is the dominant strategy applicable for this game? If robber 1 assumes that robber 2 is going to meet, then robber 1 will also meet for the bank heist. This is because the alternative choice yields a payoff of 1. 1 is less than 3, assuming that robber 1 is rational. You want to choose the outcome which yields the highest payoff. Similarly, the alternative outcome for robber 2 is 1, which again is lower than 3. Therefore, both robbers have an incentive not to deviate to their alternative outcomes, as they both receive the highest possible payoff, 3-3. Now let's consider that robber 1 equally thinks robber 2 will rob the store, then robber 1 will choose to deviate to robbing the store. This is because if robber 1 decided to show up for the bank heist, despite predicting robber 2 will not show up, this would result him in a payoff of 0. Assuming that he is a rational individual, robber 1 will deviate from the bank heist to robbing a jewelry store, as this yields him a higher payoff of 1. 1 is greater than 0. Thus we arrive at the conclusion that the dominant strategy isn't applicable for this game because potentially robber 1 and 2 might prefer bank or prefer jewelry store. Consequently, we must look for a different solution to this game. Nash equilibrium is a situation where the chosen strategy of all players is the best response to the best response of all other players. Starting with the bank outcome with a payoff of 3-3, neither of the robbers would want to deviate from this outcome as everyone is playing their own best response to what all others are doing, and thus both players are getting equally satisfying payoffs, resulting in our first Nash equilibrium. Any deviations that would mean the robber is in a worse off situation from a Nash equilibrium would not be a plausible outcome. Why are the highlighted payoffs not in Nash equilibria? This is because in each payoff, either robber 1 or robber 2 has an incentive to deviate. For example, 1-0 scenario, where robber 1 robs the jewelry store, giving him a payoff of 1, and robber 2 robs the bank, resulting in a payoff of 0. In this scenario, robber 2 has an incentive to deviate due to the fact that having a payoff of 1 is more desirable relative to a payoff of 0. Both players will have an equal payoff of 1-1, which is more preferable. Hence, 1-1 can be considered as a second Nash equilibrium. Although it might not be the outcome with the highest payoff, it is still a Nash equilibrium, as both players lose their incentive to deviate. For this game, we have two Nash equilibria, bank, where both robbers meet at the rendezvous point, and jewelry store, where both robbers pursue a jewelry store robbery. Bank is the focal point. Both players yield the greatest payoff achievable where the robbers coordinate. This suggests itself as a more plausible outcome.